welcome back to my channel. I'm Moriarty, this is Handheld Mistress, and today I am doing a recommendations video for you. So this is my first recommendations video. I've never done one before, but I read a lot of crime, a lot of thriller, a lot of mystery, and I thought it would be fun to tell you some of my favorites, I guess, like recommend things to you. So I have like 7 or 8 books that I'm gonna go over with you, and let's get started because I'm super excited about this. And check out my Detective Pikachu shirt. I'm serious about this. Okay, so let's get started. So book 1 is Nancy Drew Case Files. This is book 1 of that series. It's called Secrets Can Kill. So basically Nancy is out of college, out of high school, and she is now a private eye for hire, basically. And there's this high school in the area that has this thief. He's going through at night, taking things. Nobody seems to be able to find him. So Nancy goes undercover as a transfer student with Daryl Gray, her contact. They go and infiltrate the school hoping to find this thief, but instead they find a dead body and things just explode from there. I recommend this if you are a fan of Nancy Drew but maybe have outgrown the original ones or her other files series and are looking for something a little bit heavier. There's romance in here. There's murder. Not a lot of the OG Nancy Drews have that, so if that's what you're looking for, this is it. Very 80s. Next book on our list is a middle grade, and it is The Dark Stairs by Betsy Byers. I recommended this because this was the first novel I'd ever read that had to deal with murder, and I fell in love, and it is literally the foundation, the stepping stone to all of my mysteries. So this series is the Herculia Jones series, and she is a detective. Her father is on the police force, and her mother is a private eye. And there's this, I believe it's a house, down the road, and it's kind of got like an urban legend around what happened to the occupants there, and she sees this guy kind of hanging out and she wants to do some investigating, and then she finds that it was the site of a murder, but then another murder occurs during her timeline, and she wants to try and solve it, but she could be next. Very, very good. Very, very edge on the seat. Very, very edge. It has you on the edge of your seat. Very, very good. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I highly, highly recommend. The one thing for me with the original Nancy Drews is that she always gets captured at the end. It's literally called the Nancy Drew effect. This does not have that. A lot of female detectives, children's, middle grade, and even high school have that Nancy Drew effect. This does not. So if you're looking for a badass female character that doesn't care what anybody thinks and doesn't get Nancy Drew'd, Dark Stairs is for you. The next book on our list is A Study in Charlotte by Brittany Cavallar. I always have to look at the name because I always want to call her Cavallo. So Cavallar is her name, and this is a retelling of Sherlock Holmes and Watson. Charlotte is a girl. Duh. She's your main character. She's a descendant from Sherlock Holmes, and then she runs into Jamie Watson, who is Watson's descendant, and together they are going to this prep school in Connecticut, and a person who was bullying them, it's like a really, really awful person, but they die and they get framed for the murder, and now they have to band together to solve the murder. So it's very good. It does have some trigger warnings: rape, sexual assault, trafficking, drugs. So be aware of that going in. But it's also the only series that I've seen tackle platonic touch after sexual assault. I give it a lot of kudos. The mystery is also multi-layered, which you don't always get in a YA. So this series is very, very good. It's got 4. I'm on 3 right now, but this one is the one I would recommend. And if you like it, then you can continue. Next book on my list is 5 Total Strangers by Natalie D. Richards. I recently read this, probably last month before last. It's about a girl named Myra. Yeah. About a girl named Myra, and she is going to school in San Diego, San Francisco, some California state, and it's Christmas time, so she's coming home to be with her family. Her mom has been struggling with her sister's death, being divorced from her ex-husband, that kind of thing. So things have really been difficult on her mom, and the only time that Myra could get away was Christmas. So she's going there for Christmas break to kind of rekindle a relationship with her mother, console her, and kind of get her to a place where she's going to be okay. But there's a giant snowstorm in Philadelphia that stops planes from going out, and that's where her layover is. So she's about where the airport is, she's about 6 hours away from where she needs to be. And on the airplane, she meets a friend, Harper, that's her name. She meets a girl named Harper who's got her shit together, and she rents a car. Together, she and 4 other people are going to drive home. She offers Myra the last spot so that they can drop her off where she needs to be. Now, Myra thinks that all 5 of these people know each other, but in actuality, they are all strangers. So, that kept on the fact that Myra can't stop thinking that someone is out to get her. She sees people in different places. She's got this, like, unnerved vibe. And it's more than just a vibe you would have if you're in a car with 5 people you don't know in a dangerous area. Like, it's more than that. And she's trying to figure out if she's actually paranoid or if someone is out to get her. This book had me on the edge of my seat. Highly, highly recommend for the plot. I wasn't a big fan of the ending, I'll let you know now, but I still want to recommend it because it's a mystery I've never seen before. So it would be considered like an isolated mystery because they don't really go anywhere, but they are in fact in a car. And usually isolated mysteries are on like an island or a house for the night. I've never seen one done in a car, and this one is done to a T, so highly recommend. Next book in my list is actually about to be a Netflix series. I'm very excited to watch it, and that is There's Someone Inside Your House by Stephanie Perkins. So one of the very favorite things about the series is that it has a serious body count. I'm talking horror movie Scream type body count. I read it quite some years ago, I think 2018, and it's still my favorite book in terms of body count, mystery, character development, still tops. I haven't seen anything that goes over it. Especially for a YA, like the body count is dangerously interesting, if that makes sense. Like, if I didn't know I wasn't crazy, I might be concerned, because that's like my favorite thing about this book. The main character has a lot of development, but it is a bit dry in the character section. The best part about this is its mystery and its body count. And the people die in the most gruesome of ways. Like, I know I say that with like a smiling face, but it's so good. It's super, super enjoyable if that's your thing. They can be a bit gory, so if gore is not your thing, I would skip it. But if it is your thing for a YA, you can't do any better. This one is about a girl named Makani. She's half black and half Hawaiian. And she is in trouble at her old school, so she has to go live with her grandma in Nebraska, and she's thinking, oh, it's a city in Nebraska, nothing happens here, but then people start dying. 1, 2, 7 gory deaths. There's a fucking serial killer in the city, and she's not only trying to figure it out, but also trying to survive. and it's just a fun time had by all. Highly, highly recommend. Next book on my series I have talked about a lot, and that is A Good Girl's Guide to Murder by Holly Jackson. This is part of a series. This is book one. It's a trilogy. The third book comes out in September. The third book comes out soon. Book one is what I want to recommend. It follows a girl named Pip who never does any wrong. She's definitely been branded as the goody two-shoes. She has a kind of keystone project at school, and she has decided to try and solve a closed case. A girl named Andy goes missing, and everybody presumes she's dead and that she was killed by her boyfriend, and then her boyfriend commits suicide, so case is closed. But Pip has this feeling that that's not the case, and she actually knew some of the people that Andy knew. So she kind of approaches it like a investigative journalism project, but it starts to evolve into a lot more than that. And then she starts to see that a lot of people are lying. It's her job to decipher whether or not they're lying because they know something about the case or they're lying about something else. Take the jacket cover as a clue. You will have all of these connections. You will have to decide who is telling the truth and who is lying. And I guarantee you the end will surprise you. Highly, highly recommend. And even better if you can listen to it on audio. I listened to it on audio, and the most interesting thing about it is that they kind of had was like a well-rounded audio, almost like a radio serial. They had not necessarily music, but like when she was recording interviews on her phone, there was the crackle. When she was walking down the street, there was the sizzle of the streetlights. Like, it was really very immersive. And I thoroughly, thoroughly enjoyed it. Highly, highly recommend, which is why it's on this list. And then the last physical book, all of these books I own, but there are 3 on the list that I don't own, and I'll put them up here. But the last one that I do own is One of Us is Lying by Karen M. McManus. How to describe this book? Okay, so you got your 4 characters here with no face. And they all go to the same high school, and basically there's this kid, and he runs a gossip column, and he spares no one. If you've got secrets, you've got dirt, he has talked about you, and now everybody knows. He spares nobody. One day they all get detention, and it's kind of like a breakfast club kind of thing, like a whole bunch of different people from different cliques all get detention, and inside this detention, this gossip monger dies. It's almost like a locked room mystery. Like, everybody's in detention, he dies, somebody did it, who did it? And the 4 like get framed for it, and they have to like solve it before they all go to jail. And the interesting thing about this is that they explore it from all sections. So normally when you have like a locked room murder and you have a framed murder, it's, oh, they did it, here's how they did it, and the detectives have to be like, no, I didn't do it, and here's how I can show you. But they don't really talk about the outside view of those people while the framing is going on. Like, there's excerpts from interviews with Nancy Grace, and there's experts talking about why they did it and how and what their motivations were. Like, it was very, very immersive. It felt very, very realistic. Again, the end will surprise you, and it was a thoroughly enjoyable read. There is only 1 death in here, so not a heavy body count. Character development makes up for it. So the next book I want to talk about is Every Last Fear by Alex Finley. I just read this a little bit ago, so it's still semi-fresh. It was so good. So this story follows a detective. He gets put on this case, and the case is that all this family has died in Mexico, and it looks like an accident. Then you meet their surviving son, Matt, and Matt has an older brother who is in jail for murder, but he didn't commit the crime. And there's like a Netflix special that like talks about why he should be free, and like there's a mayor that his whole like campaign is about false convictions. And I think the most interesting thing about the series is the character development and the plot, because the mystery is not only who killed him and why, but who's trying to clean up the mess. And you get to see the mystery from Keller's point of view as well as Matt's point of view. And the people who are dead also have a point of view. And it's almost like a work backwards kind of thing. You get to see what they did in their final hours, their final days. The thing I like the most about it and why I want to recommend it is the personification that the dead have. Like, they have so much personality. They themselves were characters as much as they were the victim. And honestly, they were the one that propelled the plot forward quite often. The next book on my list is I Know You Remember by Jennifer Donnelly. This was my first Jennifer Donnelly novel. It was great. Gave it 5 out of 5 stars. It's about a friend who has to move because her dad is abusive. And while they have moved away, her and her best friend have kind of like lost touch. Something happens and the best friend has to move back to where they moved from, has to go back to the now, I don't remember the word that I'm looking for. Now her dad is better, so she has to move in with her dad, and that puts her right back where they were. But she's excited to see her best friend, only to come home and realize that her best friend is missing. She has to figure out why. In this mystery, the journey takes you all over the place. The character development is so good. The plot is so great. The end will surprise you. I thoroughly enjoyed it. Doesn't necessarily have a heavy body count, but the mystery in and of itself is what keeps you there. You want to know what happened to the best friend. You are like infiltrating her circle, learning about her friends while you were away, learning about the main character herself and her motivations. Okay, so the last book on my list is Tightrope by Amanda Quick. I read this last year. In 20s mystery, but don't let that stop you. It's very fast paced. You are following along with bed and breakfast owner, and there's a serial killer that she stops. This is on the back, so it's not any spoilers. But there's a serial killer that she stops, and then people start going missing. Things go missing. There's a murder. And she has to decide, did the serial killer have friends? Did she actually kill the serial killer? Maybe he got away. It just starts to pick up. Also, there's a romantic tilt, but it doesn't overtake the case. And it's also fast-paced, so it's not a slow burn, which I love, because when I think of 20s, I think of slow burn, slow moving, a very like old point of view. She's very feminist. She had a lot of autonomy. I thoroughly enjoyed Tightrope. It is number 4 in a series. I don't think the series follows the main character though, so I don't have to worry about like being spoiled for any of the other books. I think they all have a different character. The action is well paced. There's no dragging here. So these are my top mystery recommendations. Let me know if I talked about any of your favorites. If I didn't talk about your favorite, leave it down below so I can read it, because I'm always down for another mystery. And I will see you guys next time. I'm Moriarty. This is Handout Mistress. Peace out.